guys. It is Ali. This for the mosquitoes. Welcome to another day in the life with Ali. I'm Ali, your lifepreneur. And we're going to be chatting it up today, you guys. Welcome. If you guys have been here before, thank you for coming back. If you guys have never been here and this is your first time joining, welcome again to A Day in the Life with Ali. I am actually just doing some talks over the last couple of days and kind of flourishing, so to speak, my old radio career, my rap career, my radio career. And I'm doing it, via live streams using the platforms that are available. And so having some topic discussions around some of the things that, I would talk about normally. So last time I was on, I was able, if you're on, if you could send a message and let me know first if you can hear me. First, if you can hear me, okay. And then secondly, if you can actually request to be a guest on the live. You don't have to be on. I just want to know if the option is available. Like if you can see the actual StreamYard link. Every time I do this, I promise to God, is different. Each and every single time. I'm gonna turn on the fan too. So if you're just signing in, if you guys don't mind shooting me a note. Shooting me a note to tell me first if you can hear me. Okay, just comment. Whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, so I should be streaming on both. I should be able to see your comments. So I want to make sure that's working first before we get too far gone. And yeah, I find out afterwards that you guys couldn't actually comment, because the best part is reading you guys' thoughts and what you guys are sharing with me. So let me see. Okay. So, nobody has commented. So I'm signing on myself so I can see if you guys can hear me. Okay. If you can hear me and see me, or hear me and comment. I always just try to start off that way, just to make sure that everything is functioning as success expected, and because I actually set this up so today's topic is body shaming and hair shaming. I want to get into kind of, I've seen so many. There we go. Now that took forever to connect. I've seen so many posts recently, and I don't know if it's just because of all the things that are going on, that there's extra heightened awareness. Our people are, just feeling some sort of special way um, around our culture specifically. Thank you for letting me know that you can hear me. I am still trying to get my page to update. Okay, so there we go. All right, so you guys that are on Facebook, your comments aren't coming through again. All right, so hold on. Um, there's got to be a more streamlined way to do this. Let me see. Let me see if I can attach the link somehow. So, because what I want to be able to do is like we did the last time, is have you guys, if you want to join, I want you to be able to join, and you can't do that. God, I don't know why this is different every single time. Cha, cha, cha. And this time I can't actually see the link. Give me a second. Thought I had it all figured out before I signed on. All right. Okay. Oops. So what we might just have to do is not have any commentary, which is no fun. Or you just have to message me and I have to invite you using like your email address. So that's what we'll have to do. All right, let's get rocking and rolling. Hey, everybody that is on Facebook, those who are on YouTube, I can't see you unless you actually speak and say something in the comments. But I am on my Facebook page, so I can see those of you that are viewing via Facebook. So, and it's delayed for you guys because I think it's almost like a whole minute delayed as well. All right, so let's get started. Let's talk about, which actually is gonna throw me off. So, it's way delayed. I don't think I've ever seen it this delayed before. So anyway, we're gonna talk about body shaming and what we mean by that. And again, if you guys want to come on, if you want to actually get on with me and talk with me, send me a message. You can send a comment. If you can actually get into the StreamYard link, which if you can figure out how to get into the StreamYard link, because today I'm not able to actually able to see the link today like I did the other day. So if you can figure out how to get in without me typing in the link today, by all means send a message. Otherwise, just put a comment plus your email address in the comment. And when I see that, I will try to bring you on. All right. So let's talk about body shaming first. Thank you guys. Thank you for all the hearts and love from a Facebook side. I appreciate you guys. So, let's talk body shaming. Body shaming. What do I mean? And I think this is, I think it can happen across the board. It can happen both male and female, but I think I see it more on a female side, with women, whether it's women to women, body shaming, men to women, society to women, body shaming. But what is body shaming? Why do we do it? And as of late, I saw recently there was a picture, like a meme. I think this is probably the most recent one I saw. And it was, and this is only one example, one type. If you have other types of body shaming that you've seen, let's talk about it. Because so the basic things like body shaming about weight, right? When we see through media, television, everything, this certain body type. And actually, you hear people talk about it a lot when they refer to, like, they call it IG models, right? And so you hear people always say, well, I don't have an IG model body, or I don't have an I'm not IG ready. And that is a form of body shaming, well, technically on both sides, but feeling like you're not good enough where you are to, either participate in some activity or be seen, whatever the case may be. And so we see this all the time. We see it in these little bursts, right? So it's not like this, not always like this full blown, you're too skinny, or you're too heavy kind of thing. It's not always that way. Sometimes it's really, it's not blatant. It's very kind of hush, but there's things that deter you from participating in certain things based on your body. And you guys know I do health and wellness, and so there's always this kind of thing that circles back around to to your body and whatever that is, and really the focus on you being balanced in that, right? Because as you balance, just to kind of circle this around, as you balance, things just change naturally. You don't necessarily have to force certain changes. You just start changing and things begin to change, right? But one of the things that I see a lot, before I get into the picture I was going to talk about, one of the things I am approached with quite often is, so I am a yoga guide. And with that, I also add in, HIIT type workout things. And I get people who tell me often, very often, that they can't join my class until they get their body together. And the first thing I say is, you don't have to practice to practice. Like, you don't have to get there to get there, and I don't always have the time or place, or know the person well enough to ask them what they mean by that, or why they feel that they can't do certain things, or they can't participate in the class. The whole point of coming to a wellness class is for wellness, right? It's we all have things to work on. Trust me, we all have things to work on all the time, and we constantly are working on things. But I thought it was very interesting, because I was like, so, and it was frustrating for me. I'm going to be honest. It was more frustrating for me, I think, because what I felt is that this person was going to miss out on an opportunity to, move in the direction that they were saying that they wanted to move in, because they felt some sort of shame about their body. And when you're in wellness, the last thing you want is for someone who wants to do something to not do it because they feel shame in the way that they look. You know what I'm saying? I applaud people who go out and take the initiative to do different things, and they don't look like the IG, and they don't look like the magazine models and the television actresses. And we've been complaining for years and even if we're not talking about like, oh, a disparity in weight, like either really really skinny or heavier, even when we're not talking about that, there's also body shaming when we start talking about culturally. And so I think as our community, we've seen body shaming from way back, and a lot of people don't necessarily associate it. And I wasn't even going to go here, but I guess it's just as important, because this is how we got here, which is what I'm going to talk about. The picture that I saw kind of really, reflects back to things that we've been seeing since the beginning of our existence in this, in this side of the world, on the west side, right? And that is the negativity that is always associated or has been in the past about Black women's curves, right? And being too curvy or too vivacious, or all these things, and somehow having this belief that wherever it's from, we know where it's from, that that is not attractive, that that is ugly, that that is not the way people want to look. And so then we have the offset of that, which is the complete opposite, which is and I'm talking about over time, because as time has changed, we now see that the curvaceous, everybody trying to get booty implants and all this other stuff, whereas before it was body shaming, before it was not attractive to look that way. Now everybody's paying money to have things blown up, lips bigger. And we ain't talking about lips right now, facial features, but about the body. And so there was a time when for women, being who we are naturally, we were shamed for it. And even still, if you were in the workplace. So, one of the things that we see all the time, or see often enough, is like the one girl who, I think she's in, I don't know what city she's in, but she's a meteorologist, and light skinned girl that is on TV, curly hair, big curly hair, and she's what people would call thick. Like, she's really pretty and you know nicely voluptuous, and she shows it. She wears the types of clothes that accentuate her body on television. And so people are always kind of coming back and forth and like, she shouldn't wear that, and that's not appropriate, and this and that. And it's like, okay, but if so for example, she could be wearing the same exact dress that the next person is wearing, but because of the way her body is stacked, it's going to look different on her. So is it that the issue what she's wearing, or the issue her body type? And that's where the body shaming concept and whole thought process comes in, where we have to start thinking about, even when we do it in our own communities, when we do it to ourselves, when we see it, when we perpetuate it, you know, and what that looks like and what that feels like. So for the longest, if you think about it, Black women have been sexualized, um, by their body type, by how they look, the fullness of everything, right? And that is not a good feeling. It's not, even if you feel like you look good, you don't want to be overly sexualized, because it's like one of those things. It's like not knowing if the only reason somebody brought you on is because affirmative action, or because they felt you were really qualified. So not knowing if somebody is hooping and hollering at you because they really think that you're attractive, or is because your butt is sticking out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, that's something I don't have any control over. That's my body makeup. I don't have any control over it. I ain't got no control over affirmative action. I want to know that you want me because of me, right? And so there's so many things that I think happen as a part of that, and things that have been occurring century after century after century, and then how we've been sort of trained to cover ourselves. So I had read something somewhere, and I can't quote where I got this from, but what was I reading? And it was probably last year, but it was talking about, kind of the etymology of Black women's dress, like our attire, and why, you know, it was actually talking about the hair coverings, why they were told to, why they covered their hair, wrapped it. Wraps been going on forever. We think wraps just came out in like 2018. No, we've been wearing wraps forever, right? But why? Why were we wearing wraps? Why were we wearing the big gunny sack dresses and all of those kinds of things? Why were we covered up in like slate, these box dresses and things like that hide who you are, right? Because one thing I want to point out, and I'm going to come back to this often, is we hear all the time about women's bodies. We hear about bodies in general. So if we just talk about bodies in general and walking around, and this is kind of off the beaten path, but covering ourselves. This whole concept and idea of putting on clothes for whatever reason. We hear about the girls getting not kicked out of school, sent home from school because they're showing too much arm, or their shorts might be a little too short or something of that nature. And the reason being because it's a distraction for boys or whatever the case may be. Um, Actually, that was the reason for two of the incidents that I recently read about, but these are old incidents. But anyway, that was the reason being. And so, we run into these types of stigmas and things that say cover yourself, cover yourself, cover yourself. And I was listening to a conversation in one of the groups, and some of the people were kind of going back and forth about, hey, you don't nobody want to see your body, don't nobody want to this, and then they, this, and and basically say you should feel ashamed showing yourself because that should be private. And I just wonder where that came from, considering God made us naked. Like God put us in the garden. I mean, if we gonna quote the Bible, well then let's quote all of it, right? So, but in the Bible, the God put Adam and Eve in the garden. They was walking around just flesh, skin, flesh, everything, nails and all that, just out, just them, being them, scratching up against the leaves, probably getting thorn pricks, all of that. They didn't put on clothes until the snake awakened them, and then they felt what? Ashamed. So that, at least that's what the words say, y'all. That's what the words say. So we didn't become ashamed of how God made us until man made, or something, some entity outside of us told us that there was something wrong with who we are, right? And so I always go back to that, because when people come with this huge argument about we should put on clothes and we should this, and and I mean, at this point, like, I think we've been so conditioned that, like, there's some bodies we just don't necessarily want to see. I mean, like, I don't want to see my parents walking around. I mean, like, but that's because I've been raised in the society where we don't do that. It's not normal. But if you go into cultures where they're scantily, what we would consider to be scantily dressed, but it's not a big deal because that is what they do. So they're not like sex hungry. They're not like when they see vaginal or male parts, um, um, that they freak out or something like that. It's just a way of life. It is what it is. And so I always kind of come back to that when people try to throw out, God, it's not God's will for us to show our bodies and to, all these things. And I'm just like, well, which God you referring to? Because the God in the Bible that everybody read made us, put us on this earth naked without clothing. I mean, I'm just saying, if we don't quote it, we can quote it. Hey, everybody who has joined. If you are on, I'm going to take a quick station break. If you are on Facebook, I apologize. I can't send the link. If you're on YouTube, I apologize. I can't send the link either. But if you want to join me, if you want to get in on this conversation, all you have to do is, wherever you're watching from, wherever you're viewing from, type in, I want to jump in and chat. Like, I want to get in, Ali, and then put your email address, and it'll send you a link. So that you can join. You can request to be invited as a guest to jump in and chat. So anyway, to my YouTube folks that have chatted, have actually commented. Hey, Tony, I see you on as well. Welcome to the show. I don't know when you joined, but yeah, so we're talking about body shaming right now. And I just kind of like did like a little bit of a backtrack, almost like a historical walk down memory lane as to kind of how we got here. And because it's something that it seems like we can't get past, and now we fight within our own groups, our own cultures around what is an appropriate body, or appropriate attire, or appropriate dress. And the reason, like, another reason why it kind of stands out to me is because I wonder how much of it is, not wonder. I wonder if you all wonder how much of it is really cultural, given that, like, for example, in the West, everybody covers up. Whereas in the East, for example, a lot of the Eastern places, not all, because depending on where you go, you got to be fully covered. Um, but like if you're in Europe and stuff like that, if you go to the beach, all their beaches are topless. And I don't know if they have any that aren't. They might. I ain't been to all of them. I only been to a couple. But that's a normal thing for them. You know, even when they come to the States, they don't conceptually, like even with their kids, they don't conceptually um, understand that their kids can't be around just naked walking around. It's because it's an Eastern thing. We don't allow to be naked, right? It's a bad, it's taboo, So um, that kind of sets the stage for that. So anyway, what kind of triggered this conversation was a post that I saw in a group, and it was of a woman who was apparently walking down the street. And ladies, y'all chime in, give me some thumbs up, some hearts or something if you've experienced this, walking down the street and having people gawk at you. Gawk meaning stare. I'm eating a late dinner. Gawk meaning stare at you, hoop and holler. What they call it? Um, uh, Cat calling, that kind of stuff. And that's what the picture was. It was of her walking. She was fully clothed. So she had on a t-shirt, like a regular t-shirt. It fit, and she had on leggings. And it was all black. And she had like a cinched waist, but she had some hips. So her boom, 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 boom. But she was fully covered. But when you wear leggings, we know even if you're fully covered, we can see the curvature. So the argument was that she was in the wrong. Or no, this was the argument: is why do women dress like that if they don't want people talking about their body, whether it's in a positive light or a negative light? Why do women dress like that? And so, um, as you can imagine, there were tons of comments, and I was actually surprised, almost appalled, at the number of men that the commentary, like you expected to be like, well, shoot, if I see that, I'm gonna look. Yes, you get that. And to be honest, all women, not all, I know a couple who don't. 99% of women want to be um, told that they're beautiful. You look really nice. Somebody just a comment that you see me, that kind of thing, but not in a creepy way. Not in a way that kind of crosses the line and you know makes a person feel uncomfortable, but also not in a way that makes a person feel like there's something wrong with their body. So because they're dressed a certain way, and it's not even dressed a certain way, because somebody else could wear the same exact outfit and not get the same result. So again, I go back to, is it the dress, or is it this is why I call it body shaming? Is it the actual attire that she was wearing, or is it the fact that she but like she thick, like she a brick house, and so the curves are coming out, which draws more attention. And so when we do that, it's like we have to kind of start thinking about like what. And I want guys to chime in too. Let me know what your thoughts are on this whole. If you see a woman walking down the street, she got some nice curves, she cute, ugly, whatever, hell, indifferent, it don't matter. And she's walking down the street, and her clothes fit nicely, not indecently, but her clothes fit. Do you feel that she is asking for anything that comes her way? Do you feel that if if she wanted a different outcome, she should dress differently. And ladies, y'all can chime in too, but I'm interested to know if we consider that a dress issue and a clothing apparel issue, like a Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake wardrobe malfunction issue, or is this body shaming? Because I'll tell you what can happen. Let's say, so nowadays we know, like, you can't tell if a child, some of these girls are 15 years old or 30 years old. And I'm not talking about because they wear makeup, I'm just talking about the way they're built. And so I've even listened to some of the ladies in this one post say, what's so unfair is to hear somebody talk about me like I had a choice with the body. Like, there's a whole bunch of things we can talk about and go into that, but just in general, if you approach a 15-year-old girl not knowing, and she just happened to be wearing what normal kids wear, leggings and a t-shirt, just so happens that she's not popping out, but she's, she got curves and stuff, and the other friends that she's with don't have any, or maybe she's by herself, what kind of impact that could have on her psyche. So it could make her feel that she's not beautiful. It could make her feel insecure about her body. And not to say that this is somebody else's responsibility, but these are some of the things that transpire when we focus on body types and then prejudge and tell people that what they get is kind of what they deserve. Well, if you, I was gonna bring up something that's going on right now. I'm not gonna even make that correlation, but I guess some of the question is at what point in time is it everybody's responsibility to be responsible? So in cases like that, you would say the victim is the person being taunted or catcalled, right? But she's also the person that everybody's saying, change your behavior. And my question is showing your curves, is a woman who shows her curves such a negative thing if everybody is responsible for their actions? I'm gonna take a bite. Tell me what y'all think. I don't know if everybody don't want to comment on this one. Get in where you fit in. Because we're going to talk about hair shaming too. For hair shaming, I'm going to focus on men and how men are treated. But I know people got things to say because every time I see something like this pop up in groups, it's like 1,000 comments. And I'm just like, wow, all of this simply because she happens to be thick. Now, I will say this. We know what sells, what makes money, what turns heads, all of that. Should that, though, dictate whether or not a person should feel safe with their body type? Just because society says, well, it's not fair to flaunt your curves in front of everyone, cover up, even though God brought us here naked. Society says, cover up, make me feel comfortable as an outsider sitting, I want to, or not outsider, but this person walking around. I want to feel comfortable. So I want you to change and constantly think about how you represent, how I feel you should represent yourself in order to make me feel comfortable. And there is such a tight knit web when we start talking about this kind of stuff, because, for example, y'all know I'm in Africa. I just don't have like no elephants behind me or anything. We're not in the bush today. Um, and it's very customary here for women to be covered. It's very customary for most people to be covered. Not like full on slot dressed and all of that, but even when you go to the beaches, you on this side, like on the mainland, do you rarely, if you go to beaches, I haven't I haven't seen one person from the continent yet on the beach with a bathing suit. Woman, not a man. I've seen boys, men, at the beach with trunks on. I've seen women get in the water, but they're fully clothed. When I say fully clothed, I mean jeans, shirt, and what we call the muumuus, fully in the water. So being here and experiencing the culture, you actually, you get the flip side of. Now, if you go over to Zanzibar, yes, it's different. When you're on the beach, I think now they've imposed a fine if you walking around naked, like half naked. Um, but yeah, over there it's more conservative there, but it's on beaches. It's just free for all over there. Whereas you won't see people here walking around with a bathing suit on and like a cover up. You won't see that here. Um, on this side, on the mainland side. And so I realized how, sure, you said 100%, um, how everybody that's joined, how difficult, or I shouldn't say difficult, how many varying views there are of this simple topic of what we consider to be body shaming, um, what we consider to be inappropriate or appropriate. And is it only inappropriate if you're blessed? Because I'm going to call it a blessing. If you got curves and you ain't got to pay for them, it's a blessing. This book, right? Because I know many of people, we know, paying big money to get implants to have the curves that we are and have been body shamed for since the inception of coming to America. Yeah, I threw that one in there. I should get royalties for that one, Eddie. So, um, anyway, let me know you guys' thoughts on that. Because if I'm gonna jump to the next thing, because I want to talk about. I wish I had a picture. Oh, I might have one for the next thing about male, um, not male, but hair shame, and it's the same. It's the same message, but this is the flip side where kind of women were bashing, and it's almost like we don't see it from the same perspective. So on one hand, we as women don't want to be bashed because this is our body, this is how we're made. We don't want to be harassed. We don't want to be told, just wearing regular clothes is inappropriate. But then when it comes to the hair thing, and I've seen guys with the hair that I'm going to show you guys, uh, and be treated unfairly, or yeah, unfairly, I'll say unfairly, because of the way that they are wearing their hair. And so it's like this double standard, right? Let's see. Let me see if I can pull up an image. Okay. So there was this. I'm gonna go to the next thing, you guys. Actually, I'm about 10 minutes earlier than I planned, so we're kind of on track. But if you actually want to come on and join in the conversation, send a message, comment a message, with your email address so I can send you the link, because I think once I can type in to invite you and then you'll actually get a link. I couldn't get the link today for some reason like I did last time. Don't know. Don't know why. But I would love for you guys to jump in, chime in with me on this body shaming and hair shaming thing. Okay, so there was a meme. It wasn't even a meme. It was a discussion, and it was a picture of 3 or 4 guys. One being Jay-Z, 2 or 3 other guys that are either athletes, well known, making money. So they're making money. And I'll show you the picture of Jay-Z. So this is literally the picture, I think, or one like it, of Jay-Z. And as y'all know, that's the new Jay-Z. This the old Jay-Z. This the Jay-Z, that made Jay-Z make money, right? And so when somebody posted it, there were so many people chiming in, and specifically women, about the hairstyles. And it was the other guys had either really long dreads, but they were like dreads, like they were, or we shouldn't call them dreads, locks. My bad. They were locks, and they were big locks. So what we think might be matted, but it could be really soft hair. How do I know this? Because I have 4C hair, and my hair could look really kinky and matted and short to, like, if I wash it, but it is super soft and you can actually run your fingers through it. So until I blow it out and I get the link down here, which is magic. I just think it's like magical what our hair does. It goes from this to this with a blow dry. And so they were saying that the hair was unkept. They look ugly. Oh, they walk around and they have money, and I think they're all with significant other or married. So they're not, I don't know if they're looking for anybody, but most of the negative commentary was from women. And so I'm gonna give a small disclaimer. There was a time, a very recent, that even when I would see that hairstyle, like Jay-Z's hair, I would look and I was just like, well, why do you want your hair to look like that? Right? Because I was just like, but why? And I had to sit and think about it. Being in Africa, and it's not because everybody's hair here is short. On the mainland, most of the people's hair is short. You start to see the longer hair when you go further inland. Um, but not even so much here. Like everybody really has like a box, normal fade and that kind of thing, or just a low cut or shorter hair. And so every now and again, I'll see somebody with locks and stuff like that, and I'll be like, where are you from? And they typically are not from here. They're not from Dar es Salaam. They're living here or whatever, but they're not from this region. So I think that's kind of interesting. And so what I discovered in being around and seeing some people whose hair is that way, because I was like, ooh, and I wasn't finding it attractive or whatever. Um, but I started to kind of peel away some layers. And I was like, why don't I think it's attractive? Because when the women had the women's hair movement, and what was it, 2019, a law was passed to allow people to come to work with wearing the hair that naturally grows out of their head. So if I want to come with a short fro because that's the way my hair grows out and I ain't got time to stretch my hair and all that, I should be able to do that without being looked upon negatively. I should be able to get a job, going for a job interview without having to worry about having my hair permed and straightened and all these things, right? So there was a law just literally 2 years ago passed. I'm not sure where. I don't know if it was federal or not. I have to go and check. Um, but we're talking 2019. A law had to be passed to say that you could actually you can't be discriminated against because of the way your hair grows out of your head. First of all, though, you got to be able to tell somebody's got to actually say that they discriminate um, against you because of that, which would never happen. So it's like a law that's in place that you would never actually get any traction because nobody very few people I think would be stupid enough to actually say, yeah, we ain't hired because of our hair. Anyway, or his hair. So anyway, for me, I had gone through this phase of, ooh, I don't really like that. I don't, and I had to think to myself, why don't I like it? Why am I um, kind of turned amuck? Not attracted to someone who's either got really, heavy hair, um, you know, the thickness with the locks, or, is doing the Jay-Z style where it's just like, sprigs and sprags everywhere. And as I've been here, I've become more accustomed to it, right? I think a big part of, you guys chime in yes or no if you agree or disagree. So much of it is societal based. Like, we know, even for men, while women were just trying to grow hair, because we couldn't come into the workplace with a buzz cut. Although there are women here in certain tribes who have to cut their hair short, and there's a whole, if you watch, I think I talk about it. Yeah, it's in my Maasai village video on YouTube. Check that out, and you'll find out why in the village all the women have haircuts as short as the men. There's a reason. It's a cultural thing why they do it, right? Not because their hair won't grow. The stigma of Black people's hair don't grow. No, it just grows slower, and that's just because of the way that the hair comes out of the head. All of that. So anyway, um, so we've been going through these things with how we wear our hair, whether how we're gonna, if we can wear braids and stuff in the workplace and all that. So women been going through this for the longest, where we weren't really associating uh, men having some sort of issue, because they all got fade. They go into the shop, they getting their hair all cut up and all that, but never really asking or wondering if they wanted to have longer hair, because there's a number of African tribes that where the men wear their hair longer, and or just the way that it grows out. Like, so if they sleep on it and they wake up, that's just how they getting up and walking around. It's not necessarily, I think there's a lot of groups that are very kept in terms of like how we define keptness. But also those that are like, this is how it is. We get up, we don't put a whole lot of energy into that. We move about our day and do what we need to do. And so it made me just sit and think, how many, while we as women have been, fighting for our tresses, we've been fighting, fighting to wear our tresses, and fighting to have the right to wear them without stipulation and without shaming, because it's what we are and who we are naturally, and also being able to wear our hair however we want. Like, I'm protective style now. Sometimes my hair will be braided. Sometimes it'll be out and it'll just be my hair. As you guys have seen me over time, one minute it changes. It just changes with the wind. Depends on if I'm ready to pay for it or not. And so it just made me think and wonder if men subconsciously have been going through some of the same issues and not even knowing. Like, for instance, my son ended up growing his hair out really big a couple of times. Like, he had like this much hair. It's the first time his hair has ever been that big. And he grew his hair out, and then it started to lock up and stuff like that. And then eventually he had to cut it, he had to cut it for a job that he ended up taking with the state, because the state required that his hair be shorter. Uh, and of course, that whole be presentable when you go for an interview and all these things. And I was the mother, like, perpetuating that. You can't this and that, because in the real world, there is truth to it. There's truth to not being able, there's truth to not being given a chance because you don't follow the European standard. We know this. It doesn't have to be spoken, but we know it, right? And so when you're in this day and time and jobs are not of plenty, you want every opportunity that you can. And so there are times where I even sit back and regret some of that guidance. You want to be able to explain why something is a certain way. And one of the things I used to tell my son is if you're going to do something and it's kind of against the status quo, um, know why you want to do it. So for example, he wanted, and I'm gonna get off track, but I'm gonna use this example. He wanted a tattoo when he was in high school. And I told him, well, when you turn 18, I don't know, maybe it was 17. I don't even remember. He didn't get, I don't think, till he was in his 20s. But if you can tell me why you want whatever tattoo it is, if you can explain and have a, because a tattoo is pretty much permanent, unless you're going to pay triple the amount to have it removed. And so you kind of want to be all in with a tattoo, you know what I'm saying? And so I was like, and depending on where you put it too, because we were still in a time where, we couldn't just walk around being any kind of way. Now you can be in the military and be tatted up, as long as your collar cover your neck. I think that's only stipulation. But I was like, be able to explain why and what you're doing. Don't just do things because it's trendy and you don't know why you're doing it. Have a reason. Be able to explain to yourself why you're doing something. So later on down the road, when you're just sitting and going, you're not sitting in the mirror going, why did I do that? You know what I mean? Like there's a purpose for what you're doing, especially if you're paying money for it, right? And you're altering your body. Know why you're doing something. And so, I think about the kids and even the grown men, the adults or whatever, men who walked around and possibly wanted their hair to grow the way that it naturally comes out of their head, and they wanted to be accepted, and they weren't, right? Now I understand the twist. That's something that most of us would actually have to do, is actually twist our hair to get the parts that stand up like Jay-Z's in the picture that I showed. But and like I was saying, as I was watching reading the commentary and seeing all the people talking about how is that ain't it, that ain't it, that ain't it. They got money, this and that and the other. They need to go and comb their hair. Why, when they get money, they're not combing their hair? And I looked at it differently. I said maybe they have money now, and now they're not worried about anybody kicking them out from the table. They're not worried about anybody telling them that they can't be a part of something. So did hair ever really matter? Or was there some underlying reason why taking that away was so important? So sometimes it's like thinking about these things on a deeper level, right? One of the stories in the Bible is um, Goliath. Or I'm sorry, Samson. Like the Goliath got hit in the head with a rock though. Samson, when they cut his hair. Because his power was in his tresses, right? And if y'all don't know by now, the Bible is allegory. It's basically all the things that we see in life. Something may make you want to ask, how would they know in advance that would be something that would happen? The storytelling, pre-telling, whatever. But there is a reason why there's so many cultural things. There's a reason why it's such a big deal to allow people to just be. And it's only a certain segment of people that are never allowed to be who they naturally are, right? So I thought about that. I was like, so they finally have the money. They can say take it or leave it. My hair doesn't dictate my business acumen. It doesn't dictate that, right? Number one, which I love. I love the fact that they are to the extreme. They went from the ball fade to whatever. However it come out, however I wake up in the morning, that's how I'm gonna rock my hair. To prove that it has nothing to do with a person's ability to be a part of the society and be prominent in the society. The second part that I thought about as in this as well was the idea that we're usually dissuaded from being our authentic and natural selves. And the commentary in the group was commentary in the group was, it's not neat, it's not kept, it's not, it's just all over the place. And I said to myself, it's true. It's true. It is. It's all over the place. But then I realized that there's other situations and things that purposely look like that, and it's a thing. So we don't ever say anything about white people when they go in. So, for example, remember when it was past the 80s? Because in the 80s, they had the flip style, so it was still very like women, like the hair was in the men, like the hair was very tamed and it was curly, but it was very tame. But remember when we hit that like that 2000s or maybe it was the 2010s, somewhere around there, where the messy look came. So kind of like this, right? And it was the just you the roll out of bed look, and for some reason that's accepted if my hair falls, I guess. So if it falls back down or whatever and it's not like this, that's acceptable. So whose hair does that? Primarily not black people, you know. I mean, some got the hair that's heavy enough, or the porosity in the hair is dense enough or whatever to make so that the hair naturally just falls without a process, without your hair being processed. Because I know it'll do that if you get that good old perm up in there. I know. Um, but we've seen that. We've seen hairstyles where or chemicals or products like spiking gels that were made specifically so they could wear their hair spiky, and not even like nicely spiked, but like all these crazy things. So that's acceptable. And that's not natural. They're forcing their hair to do that. Whereas if our hair grows out and it just happens to stand up because that's how it grows, it doesn't grow and fall. It grows out. It doesn't grow down. It grows up and out, right? Something to be said about that. So ours naturally does that, and we're not allowed to wear our hair that way. And we've been conditioned to believe that that's ugly. We've been shamed to believe that that's ugly, that that's not appropriate, that that's not professional, right? But the other side does it on purpose, and they walk around with their hair like that, or messy, or they get the cuts and they. I why is it accepted for one and not another? And the only difference is the color and the texture, right? So if we don't consider that to be shaming, then what is it? You guys feel free to chime in. If we don't feel that that's shaming, what is it? What is it? And I bring these things up because of in the space that we're in right now, there's so many things like that people don't associate with behavior. We can't figure out how people are so on opposite spectrums with what's going on right now in the world. Um, what's happening right now with a particular trial, how people are even combating just any of this. Like, how is it even possible? This is how it's possible. Because of these little things that we consider to be minute, they have been created and in place by design for centuries, to the point where we will argue ourselves that we don't look good in our natural state. We will argue ourselves that we aren't supposed to walk around. And now I get, yeah, we should put on some clothes, but that there is something completely wrong with our bodies. But in in our creation, we walked around naked. So what is it that made us turn on ourselves? What is it that made us believe that there was something so incredibly wrong with who we are and how we present naturally? I'll wait because I'm gonna eat some rice. I shouldn't have because I'm trying to cut my carbs. What do you guys think? I haven't seen any commentary from my YouTube family except when y'all first joined. What y'all got to say about body shaming and hair shaming? Does any of this resonate? Does any of it make sense? Does any of it, like, you look at it like you totally disagree? So that's a good conversation. Because I think a lot of it is it's critical in understanding where we come from and where we're going. Because there's so many situations that even we don't understand. Like, we know that there's what we consider to be hidden rules in place, right? That dictate, you know, how we move, how we function. And even we don't realize the magnitude or the closeness of some of these situations. For example, um, the Dred Scott case that Missouri just was Missouri, I think Missouri, um, just deemed to be unlawful. That was a decision that was agreed upon by the U.S. Senate. That basically said, you know, when slavery, quote unquote, was ending and all of that, that it was never intended and never would be intended for a black person to be considered a citizen. And that was still in the law books. That was something that was still active and still is. And all they said is that they finally disagreed with it. They didn't say that they overturned it. And so when you see things like that, one has to not just wonder, but know that that plays a huge part in how laws and different processes and systems were designed. So if that's in the law books, that's a case that's referred to often, then we have to consider the magnitude and the impact of it, right? And so people will say, well, that was only one case. Why do y'all find one thing and pick it? Because you know what, as an attorney, when I'm in the courthouse, when I'm arguing a case, all I need is one example as reference. All I got to do is give one example as reference, and that remember we Roe versus Wade. I can just throw that out. Bam, we done. That's enough. If there's an example of some sort of lawsuit, amendment, or something like that, all I got to do is refer to the example one time, right? Then we see recently, I just posted today, so I don't remember these. I think it's Graham versus Connor, or Tennessee versus Garner. But these were the cases that made it lawful for police officers to use deadly force if they felt threatened. So I'm just bringing those up. Those are topics for another day, but I'm bringing those up because it's important for us to understand how things have been put in place for a very long time. If situations, things that we deal with on a regular basis are a result of laws and rules and guidelines and systems and stigmas and things that have been put in place for centuries, wouldn't we think and expect that surrounding systems, complementary systems, also follow those same rules? So when we are confused about when we're confused about how and why these things are taking place today, we're confused about, I don't even understand this is happening. This is why it's happening, because there's actually laws and guidelines and cases and decisions that are still in effect today that make all of these things legal. It is legal. Up until the other day where the taser situation happened, you could simply say, I fear for my life. And that justified most behaviors. Not for everybody, because somebody tried that recently and got jail time. It was a cop. I'll get the case name. But if we don't think that our history and the way that we've been both physically and mentally shamed on either side, this isn't just a black thing, but it always kind of rolls into them because there's something about the way that we walk that is always scrutinized in almost everything, right? How many other cultures have so many rules for their kids before they walk outside the door to make sure that they come home? So we know that there's all these things that have been put in place for a very long time. The problem is most of us, because I don't know, I don't sit and automatically think of decisions and cases and things like that to say, oh, it's time to overturn this. Oh, this is invalid now. We don't know this stuff, but these are the examples and the references that are being used in courthouses to validate the treatment that we've experienced, that we're seeing, that is happening on a regular basis. And while we're sitting and going, how does this person get away with this? How come they weren't charged with first degree murder? How come? Because the way the law is written, it's written in a way that makes it justifiable, because you have to know the history of how the government systematically was built and created, as well as law enforcement in the US. I'm gonna leave it at that. So the body shaming and the hair shaming thing goes, and it runs deep because it has a direct correlation to our history, our past, our culture, that we don't know what our culture is. With even if you get a DNA test, you still don't know your culture until you kind of visit and see some things. You like, oh, that's maybe why I do this, or why I like this, or why I gravitate. You don't know. And things are energies and our bloodline and stuff. That's real. You know, um, but there's a structure to this. There's a madness to the method. And I brought up the body shaming and the hair shaming because it's one more thing it's this divisiveness that is being used to continue to separate us further. Um, that is being used to give us reason to turn our nose up at the next person. And most of those things have nothing to do with character. Most of those things have nothing to do with character, you know? Most of them have something to do with creativity and actually a person who is not afraid to stand on their own, a person who is not afraid to look different. Uh, you know, and so maybe not the body shaming as much, because that's just, it is what it is, but you can't cover that as much as you can change your hair. You can easily just cut all your hair off, or do a protective style or whatever, cover up your tresses until it's acceptable. But we really have to at some point start thinking in bigger terms and less personal selfishness, because one thing you hear people say all the time is the words that you speak and the words that you think resonate and become a part of your daily life and who you are. If we honestly believe that, because it's accurate, but if we honestly believe that, we have to start associating that with everything that we do that is defiant or against one of our own, right? That is my commentary and my spiel. I am about 4 minutes shy of where I wanted to end today, because I did not want to do a 2.5 hour again today. We'll save that for this week, maybe when we do the dating conversation. Tony, if you're still on, let me know if you still want to do the dating in East Africa from a male and a female perspective. But I wanted to touch on those things because a lot of times it's bigger than the one-dimensional view that we see. It's bigger than that. It runs deeper than that, and understanding how deep it runs sometimes, even if we don't like something, like sometimes it's defend you and yours first and discuss the importance or the change, the needed change later. And one of the things that everybody talks about is the lack of respect because of the blatant lack of unity in the community. So you have to start somewhere, right? And things that are so obvious, being our body and our hair, is a great place to start. So anyway, y'all, I'm gonna get up out of here. I didn't get much commentary from y'all. I'm trying to see if maybe it's not coming through. What? How y'all feel? Y'all didn't say too much of anything. Let me know your thoughts. But anyway, I'm probably gonna try to come back on not tomorrow, but Thursday. My Thursday, because no, I guess it'll be your Thursday too, because we'll do the same time. Same time, same place. It seems to work on Thursday and see if we can do a chat about dating. We'll see. I'll see if my guest is coming, is going to be available for Thursday. So anyway, you guys, if you haven't already and you're on my YouTube, if you're on my YouTube, I'm sure you already are subscribed because you got the notification I was going live. But if you haven't, you're on my Facebook and you have not gone to my YouTube channel and subscribed, please do so. It's Where's Ali, which is WHERESALI. I will actually post it when I turn this off in the comments on the page, so you guys can go and do that. That would be fantastic. I'll do more of these, but I'm also going to be posting like long lost and more recent videos of my trekking through Africa. I have a safari video that I just haven't updated because I was editing it to censor some people who may not have wanted to, not everybody want to be all over social media, but they have since let me know that it's okay. So I'm going to go and re-edit the safari video, put some stuff back in it that I had originally taken out. So I'm going to share that. That was super fantastic. And then like my apartment hunting escapades that I've had. I still am apartment hunting. Can y'all believe it? So I'm going to do a couple more looks and shakes tomorrow. And so I've got some videos to show you guys for that, and then just showing you around town, like what's here, what was in Zanzibar. I really actually haven't done many. I don't think I've only edited and shared one video of Zanzibar when I went to the turtle sanctuary. So I have a lot of stuff to share with you guys, and then there's just a lot more that I'm going to be doing while I am here on the east side. I don't know where I'm going from here, but I've got ideas, plans, and aspirations. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys have an interest in seeing. I may even try to walk up a part of Kilimanjaro if I can get the right clothing, because I didn't come prepared with any of that attire. So if I'm going that way, I may at least, you kind of got to stop, right? Like you gotta see it if you're that close. So I may do that, but you guys stay tuned. I'll be putting a lot more newer content on the page. And then also, if you guys are with me, join my plank challenge. I have not planked in so long. I don't even remember when I consistently planked, right? It's part of, yoga, but, you don't hold that plank for a minute, So starting to do the planks to re-strengthen my core. And so you guys are welcome to join 20-second intervals, at least a minimum of 3 in one setting. Do it a couple times a day. By the third day, increase 20, at least for one of your sets. So that means like a 20-20-40, 20-40-40. One thing that works for me is to be doing something to distract So talk on the phone or read a book, or I was practicing Swahili, and you get through the 20 seconds really easy. And um, you can actually probably double it very easy. So anyway, join me if you want to, the plank challenge, because we're trying to strengthen our muscles and our bones. We're getting close to summertime. If you're in a place like I am, it's summertime all the time. Well, most of the time it's rainy time, but it's still warm. It's 80 degrees here. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate you guys jumping in and being on the live with me. I will again share the link. So I'll figure this out next time, because I scheduled it, and so therefore I didn't get a link. I don't know, y'all. We'll figure out how to get a link so I can share it so you guys can actually jump on if you want to talk to the audience. I do have a Mani says, is life all about embracing pain? No, that's a tough one. I guess it kind of depends on what you mean. Pain is always existent. It's always going to exist. It's always going to be around. I don't know that. See, when I looked at the word embrace, I saw glamorize, I saw romanticize pain. And I think we culturally, and just as people in general, we romanticize pain too much, which is why we stay in toxic situations. And that might not be what you mean. So, anyway, I'm going to get out of here, you guys. I'm 3 minutes over my time slot of when I wanted to be gone. Catch us back on Thursday when we talk about some dating here on the East Side. And until then, you guys know the drill. Toodles and noodles, peace and hair grease.